Welcome to the CrossFit Max podcast.
Yo team, welcome back. One of the coolest parts of opening CrossFit Max has been to work on the creative side of things and watching our ideas come to life. We have worked hard on developing a brand that our members are proud to showcase. We have just launched our new fall merch called Max Retro. This apparel line has 3 articles of clothing: the insanely comfortable hoodie, a super durable and breathable t-shirt, and a crop top that is going to show off the ladies' fitness like no other. Let me tell you something, I'm looking forward to our athletes repping this cool swag and this new design. You can pre-order yours today by sending us a DM on any social media platform or by shooting us an email, info@crossfitmax.ca. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast. It was a really fun one to record. Do you want to adjust your feet before we get going, my love?
No, I'm going to wait till the middle of the podcast so I can kick you in the shins and then we can fight about it.
Okay, good. 3, 2, 1, we're live.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome back to the podcast, listeners.
Susie here.
And Brandon. Today, we are 5 days out. No, not 5 days out. What am I saying?
Oh my gosh, get your story straight.
Can we edit this?
No.
5 days
Keeping this in.
Post-race for you. So I was trying to think about your father, who's 4 days post-race. You are 5 days post-half marathon.
Correct.
Tell him the game analysis. How did it go for you?
Well, the race went wonderfully for me. The second half, I was quicker than the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Ran with my girl, Malis.
Yep.
We stuck together the whole way. Since we hadn't trained as much as maybe we should have, we took it fairly easy. We just chit-chatted, enjoyed the beautiful weather.
Chit-chatted for how long?
2 hours and 4 minutes.
Nice.
We came up for air every once in a while. But no, it went really, really well. The course was beautiful. We saw like deer and baby deer when we were running. It was so cool. And like tons of runners. It was so much fun. So I feel like I executed the race exactly the way I wanted to, considering the amount of training I had put into it. And 2 hours and 4 minutes is honestly not a bad time. That's like average 5 minutes and 50 seconds per K. And considering we were chatting, I'm like actually really impressed with that time.
Wow.
So 10 on 10.
Good job.
Would recommend.
There was a lot of people that did the half marathon on Saturday.
Yeah, we were a big group. It was awesome.
And everyone else crushed it. There were some people that PR'd.
Yes.
Tell them about the PRs. We had, first of all, we had LP.
He did amazing.
Who wanted under 145?
Yeah, I think he hit 143.
143. That's great.
We had Justin
hit
and like
Raph.
a 140. Raph was like a 141.
Crazy fast.
That's fast.
Yep. So those guys hit their all of them hit their PR half marathon.
Yeah. We
also had a friend of ours, Christina DeRay, who ran how fast? Probably the fastest of all of our friends.
1 hour and 38 minutes.
Crazy fast.
And she literally had a baby less than a year ago.
Yep.
So
that's
cool.
Super impressive.
She's a badass.
There's a few of our other friends, Tom and Layla, who did their first half marathon, I believe.
Yes. And LP's wife, Lena, who did her first half marathon as well. So very, very, very cool.
We had Kat and Derek do it.
Yeah, Derek PR'd as well. 128.
That's wild.
I did not incorrectly state that. 1 hour and 28 minutes.
That's fast. That's really fast.
Yeah.
And they and then Kat did what?
152.
It's impressive that you know all these times. But yeah, so
approximately. Please, I'm sorry if I got your time wrong.
Yeah.
Don't come for me, but I'm pretty sure those are right.
Don't at me.
Don't at me.
But yeah, so there's some pretty amazing. Also, I don't want to leave out Coco.
Oh yeah,
Coco.
She killed it. 158.
158.
And she scraped in a few seconds, I think, after our time from last year. Last year we ran together and we PR'd it together last year.
Yep. So pretty incredible. I was unable to go to the half marathon day. That was on the Saturday. I was coaching the group. Actually, while I had just started the 24 athletes in their workout, I got a little vibration on my wrist from my Apple Watch, and it was from Susie. It just says, Susie, 2 hours, 4 minutes. So I was just getting the gang going as you had completed your race. So
yeah, it was really fun.
But I did not get to go on the Saturday, but I did make sure I went on the Sunday where the marathon, full marathon took place. Half marathon being 21.1 kilometers, the full marathon being 42.2 kilometers, which is a whole different workout. I think that we kind of categorize the natural progressions in terms of racing and running is like, okay, half marathon, and then the next thing after that is just this marathon. But I don't think people realize the difficulty level between the half and the full marathon is substantial. And
it's not like twice the distance.
Yeah, it's twice the
distance. It's not twice the effort.
Yeah, it's, what do they say, four
it's
times?
Like 4 times the effort.
Yeah, and I got to see some amazing athletes from our gym participate in it. We had Jason run his first marathon.
Yeah.
Which was really, really incredible to see him. Unfortunately, he dealt with a little bit of a knee injury.
Yeah.
Which I was really sad for him. But you know what? He didn't bow out of the competition. He didn't quit. He walked for a few kilometers and then finished with a jog towards the end.
Yeah.
Where we were standing. We were standing about maybe 50 meters away from the finish line. It was really cool to see his face as we were screaming for him, because I don't think he anticipated us being there.
Yeah, that
so
was probably
I think it was a nice,
good feeling at the end of the race.
Yeah, he's seeing the finale of this race. He's seeing the light at the tunnel, but right before the light at the end of the tunnel, there was us just yelling at him, "Go, Jay!"
I definitely did not leave any extra cheer in my system. I screamed for these athletes.
Yeah.
If you've been out running for 42 kilometers, the least we can do is scream our lungs off to support you accomplishing that task.
Yeah. So there was also another few members, but one of them being Lucy.
Yep.
Lucy she's run a marathon, I think a few years ago. It's been a while since she's run one, but she trained for one pretty hard this summer. She kept on her plan and she did the full marathon as well. It was really cool to cheer her on as well to the very end. And then we had also Andre, who we didn't get to mention last time because originally
he wasn't gonna run. He snuck in last minute.
So he was dealing with some pretty bad shin splints, I believe, or on one side he was dealing with it really bad. So he decided he wasn't gonna run. But then I think a week or 2 weeks leading up to the run, he, did some taping and figured out something that managed the pain. And then he did a couple runs and he felt okay. So on the day of, he said even the night before, he wasn't sure if he was going to run it. But the day of, he woke up and decided he was going to. Which was awesome. So
he did a pretty good time too.
He did his marathon as well. And then, of course, we had our 2 superstar marathoners. Yeah, Liz and Alan, Susie's father, do the actual full marathon. And although they did not get their goal of going sub 3 hours on the marathon, it was a rather hot day. Yeah,
my dad definitely does not usually perform his best in the heat. Heat is not his friend.
Yeah, so it was normally this time of year. It's kind of funny. I was going back in my photos from last year and I saw a photo of you and Coco together and her father taking a photo. Cold. You guys were wearing leggings, shorts, a mini jacket. Like, it was cold last year during the run. This year it was, I guess morning of 15 degrees, sunny. And then by the time I ran
sports bra and shorts, that's it.
And then by the time for the marathon runners, they start at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, the first heat goes everyone kind of starts between 8 and
8:30 kind of thing.
Yeah, 8 and 9 a.m. I think.
Yeah.
And then, so depending on how fast you are, but they were finishing at 11, 12 o'clock.
Peak sun.
And the sun, you could tell there was a massive difference between, it was already hot, but when you were in the sun and the clouds weren't covering or something, you didn't have any shade, it was really, really hot. It was for sure over 20 degrees.
Yeah. And so when you're running on that edge of what you're capable of, any a little bit of overheating or anything can really
Yep.
deplete you or dehydrate you or whatever. So they ended up coming in at Liz at 3:06 and my dad at 3:07, which is still like ridiculously fast,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so quick.
If you go back to us talking about the half marathon, we had our friend D-Ray who ran a 1:38 half marathon,
Yeah.
which is so impressive. Don't want to take anything away from her. That was an incredible time. If ever I could run a 1:38 half marathon, I would be freaking so pumped up.
Oh my gosh.
But the fact is that that's so fast in itself. And Alan and Liz were going for sub 3 hours for twice the distance. And they trained so freaking hard for it. And the difference between, you know, like a 3 hours, 7 minutes compared to a sub 3 hours is what, like a couple seconds, three seconds per kilometer, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe
it's like-
more like 5 seconds per
so
K
like-
or something like that. But yeah,
Like
just seconds.
just a few seconds every single kilometer. But then you also have to factor in, like, for example, Liz told me at the checkpoint, the 36 kilometer mark, she knew she wasn't going to hit her goal, so she stopped to get some water and stuff. So you have to factor in, like, she was really only like a few seconds off every single kilometer. And
the amount of mental strength it must
Yeah.
take to run at that speed
for that long,
for that amount of time.
just
Just
I encourage
gobsmacking.
anyone, for any of the listeners, who next time you run, just try to go run a fast pace for 1 kilometer and then just ask yourself, could I
I
hold
run
on
that?
to that
Yeah.
pace for 42 kilometers or for 3 hours? That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
They're pushing threshold, and they're just mentally grinding it out, trying to shut out their
Yeah.
body. Don't listen to the quads, don't listen to the calves, don't listen to anything, don't listen to the heat.
Yeah, and knowing the amount of training that they put into it got me a little emotional watching my
Mm-hmm.
dad cross that finish line, because I just know they don't leave anything out there.
Couldn't help but get choked up for sure. I was getting pretty emotional when we were at towards the finish line there, and we were cheering for your dad and Liz, and we posted some videos on our Instagram stories. We should just post them and keep them up. But essentially, Susie is yelling, like top of her lungs, screaming, "Go, Dad!" like so loud. And I'd never seen Alan like that before. He was in a pretty
Bad way.
Yeah,
He
bad
was
place.
pale looking.
No color. I mean, the only color that
He's usually a pale guy, and he
Yeah.
was extra pale.
yeah. But you could see there was no color in his skin. His eyes were super, super red, just from like the dehydration and the running and the intensity of that marathon. But like, we're standing toward, like, off to the side of the finish line, and Susie's yelling, and I couldn't even get the voice out of my mouth because I was getting so choked up about seeing him run that, and then you screaming, and then looking around, and everyone's just looking at Susie. Just
Everyone's looking at
cheering.
me like I'm a full-blown maniac.
Well, I don't think maniac. I think everyone just like was super inspired by that moment of you just like yelling at your dad, because you're saying like, "Go, Dad." You know, you're not saying like, "Go, Alan." So everyone
Yeah.
knows exactly that you're cheering for your dad, and everyone at the finish line knows how fast that is, because it's almost at the 3 hour mark. So everyone knows how hard he's pushing and everything. Not that others aren't, but they know how aggressive he is trying to hit that target. It's when you're around the 3 hour mark, you see people who are
crazy.
passing, and then you see people who are just shy of, and you're so heartbroken for those people, because you know that the people who are really close to 3 hours definitely trained
For the sub
to get
3.
under 3 hours, and then you just see people like torn up, like broken down physically, mentally towards the end, and you're just hoping that you still see them smile towards the end.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite,
I would say that's what was cool about screaming for my dad,
Yeah.
is like, in the bad way he was, he still managed to
He
crack
smiled.
a smile.
Yeah, he smiled. His smile was very big. So that was really cool. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about the marathon was that everyone's wearing their bib. So you have like this piece of paper that's typically on the front of your shirt, and their names, they have their number, and then they have their name in like these big bold letters.
Yeah.
So you can see every single person who is crossing the finish line. So you're seeing like someone that has like Natalie, so everyone's cheering like, "Go, Natalie."
Yeah.
And then you see this other one, "Go, Linda," "Go, Alan," you know. So everyone's like yelling these names. And
I was surprised how many people were named Simo.
Yeah.
I feel like
Simon.
every other person was Simon.
Marie-José.
It
Like,
was just so random, like just random aside. But
Yeah.
I feel like every other guy was Simon. I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
this was really the name of that generation.
yeah. I feel like there was a
But
lot of
yeah.
like Marie dash something else, you know?
Yeah. Funnily enough, when Marie-Alice and I were running, I had put my government name on my bib. So in case no one knows, secret's out, my government name is Suzanne
Yep.
and not Susie. But like literally no one calls me Suzanne. Please don't call me Suzanne. But it was just funny because it was on my bib, Suzanne. And then everybody calls Malice, but her full name is obviously Marie-Alice. So it was really funny when we were running together because people kept being like, Ali Suzanne, Ali Marie-Alice. And I was like, it just sounds so weird because it's like not what
your
we
names.
usually go by.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, that was just funny.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Two people I also forgot that I wanted to make a special shout out to
Yes.
was Kevin and Danielle.
Yes.
They ran the half marathon on the Saturday. Kevin was dealing with a pretty naggy hip situation.
Injury,
He was crushing his runs throughout the weeks leading up to it, and he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do it, but he did some good physio.
He did a
He kept
phenomenal
up
time.
he kept up his training, and he hit an incredible time. Danielle was going through a medical situation as well, and she
wasn't even sure if she was going to run.
Yeah, she wasn't able to even really train that much leading up to it, and she anticipated walking.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
she was running.
and then
Yeah.
she ended up running, and she hit an incredible time as well.
Yeah.
So shout out to those
Very
two
cool.
amazing
So
members. I did not want to leave them out here, but that being said, I felt the atmosphere of the races was incredible.
Yes.
Seeing all those people was super fun.
You
I
see all
definitely
different
felt
types of people too. I feel like
Different
that's
types,
something is very fun about going to these types of events. Is like you see all age ranges and
Yeah.
different body types and different levels of fitness. It's
Mm-hmm.
really like across the board kind of. It's very interesting to see like there's not a stereotype of what the athlete will look like.
yeah. Some of those people, you're seeing them cross the sub 3 hours, and you're like, oh wow, like if I saw this person in the streets, I would
You would have no idea.
would not have
Yeah, not to throw
anticipated.
shade at people,
Yeah.
but sometimes you're like, oh shit, this guy can run sub 3 hours. What the heck?
Yeah.
I'm sure people think that about seeing my dad come running in. He's just like a skinny old dude. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't look like
But he does have the running frame though.
he does have a running frame, but he looks like he's not 30 anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That being said, he's 65, and he just broke the record for the fastest marathon, the Quebec record, right?
Yeah,
For
but
fastest marathon.
he won't get the record because
Oh.
the course didn't qualify.
Oh wow.
Apparently, the course has to be a loop in order to count as a record,
instead of a
and
there
it's a
and back.
point to point.
Oh wow. Okay, gotcha.
A there and
gotcha.
back would have
Yes.
worked, but it's a point to point, and so it doesn't
Oh.
qualify, so he won't get the record.
That is so annoying.
But we know he beat the record by
Yeah.
like a minute and 30.
Oh wow. Anyways, super. So I felt so inspired. The atmosphere, the energy was incredible. So I told myself
Yes,
I
love
will
this.
I will do a half marathon next year. Hopefully at that race too.
I'm so happy. This
Yeah.
for me is like probably how Brandon felt when I signed up for CrossFit.
Yeah.
I just I'm excited to share this experience with you. Like I feel there's not a lot, like you can't know how it feels to run in one of these races until you actually do it.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm
so
excited for you to have that experience.
I'm putting it out there, folks. It's on the podcast.
No takesies, backsies.
No takesies, backsies. I will sign up for the Petit du Nord half marathon 2024. Knock on wood. Hopefully everything goes okay, but that
I'll
will
do
be,
it with you. I'm going to sign up also.
that would be the goal.
Well, we don't
I
have to
can-
run together,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
I'll do it also again.
So I'm looking forward to getting into some training, and that's going to be kind of our topic for
What a good
today.
segue, baby.
Yeah. And that's kind of our topic for today is the difference between exercise and training.
Yes.
Kind of distinguishing the difference between what is the major difference in terms of the actual, I guess, definition of them.
Yeah, like terminology.
The terminology, the methodology that people use,
Mm-hmm.
and then also like the mindset around the two here.
Like how you approach it.
Yeah, how you approach it.
What do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about point number 1 here, and let's just talk about like exercise in general. Exercise being like just going through the motions of movement.
Right. Having like a workout
Going,
routine.
Yeah. And I think something that maybe we could compare it to that maybe people will be able to catch on or to understand a little bit better is essentially, let's use like the Orange Theories, the F45s, the circuit training, the
Yes.
the gyms that you walk in and you do Tabatas or Sweat 440s, all those kind of boutique gyms that you go in and you sign up for the class and
you immediately join a class.
You join a class, you go through the motions of whatever the TV monitor tells you to do. I guess that's how they do it now, right? There's just a bunch of TV monitors and you just follow along, and then there's some sort of what do you call them, trainer?
I wouldn't call him a trainer. I'd probably call him like a staff member who's like directing people.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from them. Let's call it an employee.
How is that different than a staff member? There's
Yeah.
somebody who's like a coordinator.
Yeah.
There's somebody coordinating the class, but they're not like teaching the class.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah. So going through the motions of like, okay, I've signed up for the class. I'm simply going to just show up and I'm going to follow what is on the screen, the exercise that's on the screen for the prescribed amount of time that is on it. Versus training. Training essentially is having an actual program that you're following, whether that's, you've hired a coach to write a program out for you and there's a start point and there's some sort of goal that you're trying to reach towards the end.
Right. It's like a program that's established with like an actual time frame and purpose, and it's planned out. You kind of at the beginning, what the end is supposed to be. There's no like ambiguity about what's going on. Like, what you're doing.
That could be whether you're hiring a coach to do a personal program for you. That could be whether you're going to a gym and they create cycles. Like, for example, like CrossFit Max, we do 12-week cycles. Right now, we are on week 7 of our 12-week cycle. So there's thought put into, okay, like where is either this person or these people at right now, and where do I want to see them progress over time? There needs to be some sort of natural progressions throughout the entire process. So I guess we can just talk about like certain things like that.
Yeah. So I feel like, just to go back a little bit, is like the exercising where we were talking about the sort of circuit style training, circuit style workouts that people do, not the circuit style training, but the circuit style workouts that people do, that exercising it's just random. It's just like, we're going to work out this muscle today, and then we're going to work out this muscle tomorrow, and we're going to get your heart rate up. And there's no end goal. Like, the goal isn't to improve on something. The goal is just to get sweaty.
Yep. Burn calories.
Burn calories is the goal. Get sweaty is the goal.
Get your heart rate up.
Versus, I mean, obviously we're biased and we have a clear opinion on this because we at CrossFit Max don't do that style. We have a program set, on week 1 where you want people to be by week 12. There's a purpose to the training. And so people follow a logical program where the coach, in this case Brandon, isn't randomly just putting exercises in the program to keep people busy. He's putting thought into, okay, why are we doing this movement? What is the purpose of this movement? What movements do I need to incorporate in the training program for the next 12 weeks in order to, for example, improve your push jerk or improve your back squat or whatever? And then you go through the cycle, and there's like, people are able to track their progress and see real progress over time. And then obviously after 12 weeks, they've improved.
Yep. And so far, side note, clients are killing it right now.
I would
from the coaching standpoint, I mean, I participate with the group classes. I do the group training 5-6 days a week out of the 7. So I myself have been feeling pretty fit and feel like all my numbers have been going up. But from the coaching standpoint, like I freaking love to how far our athletes are going right now. It's really cool.
Really, really impressive. And I think something that maybe is worth discussing is that people maybe don't join the gym with a specific outcome goal in mind. Maybe they just join the gym because they want to exercise.
Yeah, it's possible.
But what they're maybe start to learn as being part of our gym versus like participating in another gym is that when you are following a logical training program and you're not just quote unquote exercising, but you're training with more of a purpose, whether you're fully aware of the purpose or you're just like, okay, well, I train at CrossFit Max 4 days a week. So whether you like it or not, you're training with a purpose. The amount of fitness improvements you're going to make are leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
For example, last week we spoke about Jess, our client Jess, who's only been here for 6-7 weeks now.
Yeah.
And she's already telling us, oh my God, like it's incredible the amount of improvements I see. She hit the nail on the head. The difference is that she's being coached here and there's a program that's well thought out and therefore she's obviously experiencing the benefits of that, which is improving.
Yeah. That goes with the mindset aspect of things as well. It's really cool to watch the clients go through it as a coach, but it's also really cool for them to kind of have the light bulb that kind of clicks on. It's like, oh wow, now they are starting to notice it. So
I feel like people notice it mostly if they've been exposed to
like other situations.
Yeah, like I feel like it's way more obvious. I'm sure Lucy wouldn't mind giving me this example, but like she used to train at one of those circuit style gyms and now she's training at CrossFit, and I'm sure she would agree with me in saying that in the 2 years, let's say, I don't know, I'm just assigning a random amount of time, but like 2 years she spent working in the circuit style training, she made more improvements in 2 months.
Yeah.
At CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit Max specifically.
Yeah.
Not all CrossFits are the same.
Well, I think that was kind of one of the things that it's part of CrossFit's definition is like this constantly varied functional fitness at high intensity. And I think back in the day, it was like, it always has to be constantly varied. Every workout you do is going to be completely different. It's going to be always got to be random. It's going to help you like train for life, which at the beginning was kind of cool. But then I think as we start to like go through time, and then now, you know, CrossFit's been around for about 20 years now.
Right.
I think something that I've learned is that natural progressions to things or progressive overload is something for like the human mind to really see and feel difference in their body and in their performance and in their life. If there's no, like, if it's just always constantly varied, then you're never really going to be able to like just test your squat numbers or your pressing numbers or your running times or rowing time, your gymnastics improvements. You know, like if you're never going to really like see a natural progression, you're going to always struggle at toes to bar if you do toes to bar once a month. If you want to get better at toes to bar, you got to be doing it at least at the minimum once every 2 weeks, you know?
Right.
When we do our program design here, I map out like a 12-week cycle, and then I make a list of like 5 priorities, 3 major ones, and then 2 kind of sub ones that I want to kind of just work throughout that aren't as important, but they're still like going to be set as priorities. Number 1 being the back squat that we've been working on it, you know, like for the first 7 weeks of the training program, we have incorporated some pretty hard tempo into our back squats. When we add tempo, meaning I dictate the time it takes for people to squat as opposed to you just putting a bar on your back and just squatting however fast you want. I've dictated the time of how long it's going to take you to go down, how long you have to pause in the bottom, how long it's going to take you to go up, and then how much time are you going to rest at the top. I've set out the first 7 weeks for that to be a strict tempo.
Right.
It forces athletes to work in more challenging positions. It also forces athletes to focus on the mechanics of the movement.
Yeah, like proper range of motion has been the
Yeah.
primary focus that we've been talking about a lot.
Absolutely. Getting low into the bottom of a squat. For some people, that's really easy. For some people, that's extremely hard. For me, when I started CrossFit, that was terrible. Like, coach asked me to do a squat. I'm like up on my toes and I'm squatting low. And then he says, no, you got to try to keep your heels down on the ground. I try that. I fall on my ass. You know, like for some people, mobility, hip mobility, ankle mobility, these things are really challenging. But when you set up the progressions to like, okay, we're going to do tempo for this first 7 weeks of the program here.
Yeah.
It's going to force people to work deep ranges of motion. You're going to feel comfortable in the bottom of the squat. You're going to build strength in weaker parts of your body. Well, then from there, now that most of the gym has been able to now work on those challenging positions, all right, for the next 4 weeks after that, we're going to remove the tempo. Just an FYI for the CrossFit Max listeners right now.
Can't
for
wait.
the next 4 weeks, you guys are not going to have any more tempo. Now I'm just going to say, all right, we're doing sets of 3.
Yeah.
Squat the tempo that you want to be squatting at.
And it's going to be really, I feel like, eye-opening to people now, taking the tempo away, that the like depth and range of motion of their squat is going to be so much better than it was prior to these last 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then on the last week, we test. So we're going to have like this natural progression where it's like that's just like one of the 5 things that are thought into this program from the gym standpoint. Now, if you're going to an F45, an Orange Theory, you're going to like these places where you're just going to exercise, there's a little bit of thought of maybe the logistics, meaning they only have a certain amount of square footage. How are they going to set people up in different spaces? But there's no natural thought progression. It's just like, hey, people show up, people sweat, they get their heart rate up, and then they leave.
It's kind of like what you would call in school, like busy work. When you were in school, in classes, you know, sometimes the teacher would just give you something to like keep you occupied instead of to actually teach you something, you know, just sort of kill time.
Yeah.
I feel like training or exercising without purpose, without having a program and in this sort of circuit style format is just kind of busy training. Here's just like something to do for a minute and then switch over and do something else for a minute. And the person who burns the most calories at the end wins. But it's like, you're never, not never, but you're unlikely to improve on, for example, range of motion and all these types of things if you're just doing the same thing over and over again. It's kind of like a hamster wheel.
Yep. Yeah, and the other aspect is that when you're exercising, you're probably not like learning from yourself. You're just showing up. You're going through the motions of what the TV or the coordinator, the trainer tells you what to do here, but you're not learning on like, okay, like why is it important for me to get low into a squat? Oh man, like every time I squat, I have like this knee that is so funky, like it always hurts. Oh no, like my ankle doesn't allow me to get into that squat. Like I'm just not ever going to squat like that. But it's like, oh, well, actually, if we work on building good ranges of motion in your body, like we're supposed to be able to, right? Maybe you can't right now, but we can still work on it. Well, the objective of doing that is to build a resilient and strong body. We're trying to build a strong lower back. We're trying to build healthy knees. We're trying to build good range of motion in your ankles. So maybe if you want to run a half marathon one day, you can go and do that without having ankle issues.
Right.
So when you just go through exercise, you're not learning from yourself or learning from a teacher. When you're training, you're trying to learn from yourself. You're trying to walk out of that session learning something from yourself. At least one thing. You ideally want to walk away from that training session and learn at least one thing. Probably what's going to happen is you're going to learn a bunch of things. But as you go through like a natural progression in training, you're going to learn many, many things. And at the end of, let's say, a training program, you're going to hopefully accomplish not just one goal, but multiple goals throughout the series.
And I would say like a lot of people who join the gym have goals that are oriented around wanting to see some sort of like physical results on their body. And when we are just exercising or doing that sort of circuit style training and we're following a screen or a coach or whatever, and we're not really challenging ourselves in the movements, and we're not really working like with a mindset of focus and being goal oriented, then getting those like physical results is going to take you a heck of a lot longer, because your body composition isn't going to change if you're not quote unquote lifting heavy, if that's something that's a priority for you. So sometimes people will be like, oh, I've been like exercising for X amount of time, but I don't see any results. Or your body composition hasn't changed, or you haven't started to grow muscles or lean out. Well, it's like, well, that's why, because you're just
going through the motions.
You're just going through the motions. You're not working towards something.
Yeah. Listen, if you want to,
I mean, it's still great for your cardio and for your heart health and
if
stuff.
If you just want to move, you don't want to think, then finding a gym that's going to help just get your body moving and heart rate up.
Motivated or whatever, yeah.
I don't even say motivated. I would say that's the least motivating thing, but just a gym where you just want to move, sweat, heart rate up, then finding a gym that's going to just be exercise is going to be great for you. But if you want to build like purpose and you want to get results that are a little bit more obtainable, I guess, obtainable results that you've been seeking for a good amount of time, measurable, you're looking for purpose around your training and higher motivation, then I would highly recommend the training aspect of things, because this way like I'm going to the gym on Tuesday, I'm not feeling that motivated, so you know what, I'm just going to stay home. When you're exercising, that's an easy thing because you can just exercise tomorrow. But if you're like, oh no, wait, like today is sumo deadlift at the gym, and one of my main goals is to either sumo deadlift 200 pounds or grow my legs, I want to have a nicer bum and I want to have nicer hamstrings, then I got to hit the gym today because today's sumo deadlifts and I got to just go to it. And yeah, so
what would you say to like the athlete, or maybe just to wrap up what your actual thought was there, is like in that case, you're going to be way more motivated to like get your workouts in because you have a purpose in mind, because the training program gives you purpose. But what would you say to like an athlete who's not really thinking about all these things, doesn't have a goal to squat heavier or to sumo deadlift heavier or whatever, and they're brand new to the gym and they're like, oh no, this sounds like way too intense for me or way too technical? What would you say to that person? Because really, some people might be listening to this and think that they don't want to have purpose on their training, and think that they don't want to care about what numbers they're lifting and stuff like that. What would we say to that person? Why should they join a gym that has training over exercise?
I guess I would ask them the question if they have any goals. And
let's say hypothetically this person's goal is to lose some weight.
Yeah. Most people will typically say, I want to lose weight. So then I tell them that we need to create a structured plan around them losing weight.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that someone comes in and just like, nope, I just want to move my body just because. Typically people,
that never happens.
What you typically have to do is, and maybe there are some people, and you know what? I bet that there are people in our gym that are just training because they want to exercise. I wouldn't doubt that. But I would encourage people to do like some self-reflection. I wouldn't ask the person on the spot to be self-reflecting, but I would poke at them and try to ask them like certain questions that would try to get them to think a little bit more on why they're walking through our doors or why they even considered doing exercise. Usually people have a goal in mind that could be wanting to lose 5-10 pounds or losing weight. That could be like body composition. They want to get bigger muscles. That could be because someone in their family is sick and they don't want to get sick.
Right.
There could be a million ways, but our job is to try to help educate people and help them realize that training is the way to go as opposed to just exercise.
Exactly.
Like exercise is not a bad thing. It's better than nothing
100%.
For sure. But when we give people purpose around their training, then from there they can get so much more out of it.
100%. And I think something to note here is we're not saying you have to be the person obsessing about your percentages and the numbers that you lift or whatever. You may become that person without realizing because you get really invested in the process. I see that happen a lot. But you don't have to stress about those things to still benefit from training with purpose and following a logical program that is well thought out by a coach, that the classes are taught to you and coached to you, and in every day you're given structure. You're still going to benefit immensely from that, whether you obsess over the numbers that you're lifting or not.
Yeah, you're going to see numbers go up. You're going to see body composition changing into the body type that you're looking for. You're going to see, I guess, motivation. I don't like to say motivation. Well, motivation will be increased a little bit. But what you'll naturally see is your discipline for showing up to the gym more frequently, more consistently is going to go higher up.
I would say discipline is a good word there.
Discipline over motivation all the time. But at the beginning, you're probably going to feel a little bit more motivated to go to the gym. 100%. And then that's going to turn into discipline, because motivation doesn't last forever, people. We talk about this all the time. But if you're disciplined, hey, I'm going to the gym this day, this day, this day, this day, and I'm sticking to it, at the beginning, you'll feel motivated, but motivation goes away really, really quick.
And I would literally be comfortable saying, I guarantee anybody who follows a full 12 weeks of training here in our gym would never go back to exercising.
Yeah.
Overtraining. I would guarantee if someone gave it a 12-week full chance, the amount of improvement in their mindset and their approach to their workouts, just as much as their physical body changing and the amount of strength they have in their body and the amount of endurance they have capacity for, the amount of improvement you would see is just, it's going to be completely unmatched than anything you'll get from an exercise routine, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's our shade thrown at exercising.
No, there's nothing wrong with exercising at all. I just feel like the benefits of training far outweigh exercising. But I think it's just helping educate people on this topic.
Understanding that they're different, because oftentimes people will ask if they've done CrossFit before, and they'll be like, well, I did F45. And I'm like, okay, so you've never done CrossFit before. Like, it's not the same.
It's not the same. No.
So maybe just using this podcast as a way to start turning people's wheels in their head and understanding that there's a substantial difference between exercising and training.
Something like a fun story that just popped into my mind about when we went on our honeymoon. We were in Miami, and there was a really cool place like across the condo that we were staying at, like literally across the street, like maybe less than 100 meters away. Yeah. It was called Sweat 440, which there is one in Montreal. There's one in the city. And it
was really fun. We liked it.
Yeah. And this is the classic example of exercising. Yeah. But we loved it because we were on our honeymoon. We're just having fun. It was super efficient. It was essentially, so they call it Sweat 440. There's 4 different circuits you go through.
Each is 10 minutes.
Each is 10 minutes long. You pretty much do some like, well, I don't want to make it confusing, but essentially, you go 10 minutes at different stations, like 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off.
It's like a circuit.
And you just do circuit at this station for 10. It's really cool. Like you walk into the building, you walk in through the door, you put like your bag and
it's
keys.
Like a conga line. You follow like the format. You just follow the room.
It's kind of like a circle. Like you walk in through the front door, you put your stuff away. There's like a little warm up area if you want to do some warming up. And they have classes literally starting every 10 minutes for a period of time throughout the day. So every 10 minutes, they can throw in like 12 new athletes going in. Yeah. So you start at the first station, and then you go for 10 minutes. You go 40 on, 20 off, 3 or 4 different stations, and you move on. And then the next group comes in, and then you have 4 different stations kind of around this circular or whatever, oval type. Yeah. And then you go to the second station, 10 minutes, third station, 10 minutes, fourth station, it kind of leads you out the back, like the doorway to get out of the place. So you finish the last station, and then boom, you're like walking out of the place. So it was really efficient.
You're in and out, 40 minutes and done.
That was perfect for us because we didn't want to think about our training. We didn't want to, we knew that over the 10 days that we were there, We were not going to be like putting any thought or natural progressions into our training. So for us, it was
just
perfect.
down to move,
we
get
just wanted to
sweaty.
move, sweat, keep our bodies healthy. So we decided to go with the exercise route. And for some people, that's going to be really great. But I was itching to come back home and get into some sort of like training program where I was overhead pressing and, you know, squatting and
Something
deadlifting.
with a little
and,
bit of structure.
Yeah, something to add the structure in as opposed to like, I mean, also the exercise. Some of the movements we were doing.
Oh my God.
Were very
Some of
funny.
the things we were literally, when we were doing the class, we were just laughing because we were like, what is going on? And then obviously we're both like trainers and fitness professionals, so we're watching other people in the class do like weird shit and rounding their back, and we're just, this is so cringy, but whatever, we're just here to have a good time.
There was, after a few days of us being there, Susie made a joke before like the morning where we wake up, we're about to go in the morning, and Susie made a joke like, oh, they have the assault bikes. For those of you guys who don't know what assault bike is, it's a bike where you're pedaling, but
you also move your arms.
You also move your arms.
It's like elliptical bike.
Exactly. So, and that's pretty well known in the CrossFit world. But Susie said, imagine if we go there and there's like biking with like no hands. And I kid you not, like 20 minutes later we were there, and that was one of the stations where you had to sit on the assault bike, pedal as fast you can, and literally put your hands up in the air as you're pedaling on this thing.
We were unable to take that station seriously because we were just like, I was just like, this is so funny, because I said it as an extreme joke of like something that would never possibly show up, and then it was in the
like
class.
There was jumping ski erg and lunging ski erg.
Jumping lunge ski erg.
Yeah, there was some funky stuff going on.
Whatever. The point was, the goal of the class was to get us sweaty, and it succeeded in that. But it was literal nonsense.
Yeah. But it was fun
we enjoyed it.
What we wanted.
And if you are somebody who enjoys those types of things, this is not an attack on who you are and what you like. It's just that it's just understanding or being realistic that this is not going to help you reach goals. It's going to just keep your heart healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, it will. It will
and it will definitely do that.
It'll get you healthy for sure. Yeah.
And that's really important.
It just might not get the results that you're really looking for.
Yeah. Like if you want to feel physically stronger or get a different body composition, that's not really going to be the most effective way of doing it. But in terms of making sure that your body is moving multiple times a week, fantastic resource, because the barrier to entry is like zero. You just show up, do the thing, leave.
Go at your own
in
pace.
and out.
Yeah.
In and out in like 45 minutes. Perf.
Yep. All right, so let's do something we always end our segment on, and we're doing client of the week.
Pew, 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 pew.
You want to tell them?
Yes. So our client of the week this week is a special guest from out of town.
She is from here.
She's originally from Montreal, but she lives in Belgium.
Yep.
And she is has been visiting.
She's been visiting, yep.
Her sister, and her name is Jen.
Yeah.
And she's been kind of getting back into CrossFit while she's been here. So she does CrossFit in Europe where she lives, but she's kind of had some time off, and she came and she did a few one-on-one sessions, and she's been jumping in some group classes.
And she brought her sister.
She brought her sister in to start her foundations with me, which has been really awesome. So she's just been such a joy and light to have. I'm so
really nice.
Sad that she doesn't live here because I feel like I'm attached to her already. She also told me that she started listening to the podcast. So I really hope she gets to hear this episode, because Jen, you were such a joy to have in the gym for this short stay while you were in Montreal, and we hope you're visiting again soon and come back.
Yep. We're throwing out this
very soon.
This client of the week for someone who has taken a period of time away from her training, and she's decided on her vacation that she's going to get back into it.
I love that.
The fact that she trusted us in this beginning process for her is incredible. We feel touched. She's really just dove in. She's done multiple one-on-one sessions with you.
Yeah.
She's done now 2 group classes. She got her sister in as well.
Yeah.
So
she referred her sister for a massage.
Yeah.
Honestly, she just like injected life and love and joy into our business in those short 2 weeks. Hopefully we can convert her sister to stay and start her CrossFit journey. CrossFit is brand new to her sister. So anyways, it's just been really, really, really pleasant having her, and I'm sad to see her go, but I'm excited that we have connections in Europe now.
Yeah. Now, when we look at the stats of who listens to our podcast, we're going to see, hopefully, we'll be able to see someone listening from Belgium.
Yeah. And then
is
we'll
cool.
be like, Jen's listening. Yay.
Yeah. Hey,
Anyways, shout out Jen.
We just hit 2,500 downloads. We are this episode here is episode 26, but on our 25th episode, we hit 2,500 downloads, which
Very
is
cool.
so cool. So
Proud of us.
thank you to all of our listeners. We say it all the time, but we appreciate each and every one of you.
Yep.
We hope that you guys get good content. Hopefully you guys now have a better understanding of the difference between exercise and training.
And please write to us so you can come and do your free trial and see what training is all about.
Yeah, we would love to do a one-on-one session with you. In the show notes below, there's our website, so you can click on it. Right from there, you can book your free trial. All right,
Tell
guys.
your friends.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
All right.
Catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
See ya.